I've learned so much from Anna, just watching the way that she loves her kids and is a mommy to them and always is putting their needs first. Stepping into mommyhood myself to look to her as an example and learn from her.
Looks like we're back. Good walk.
It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Monday, April 26th. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Let's talk about the Duggars and Anna Duggar and this baby that's coming on the way in the fall. On Friday night, which is so wild, I always am like shocked when anyone releases anything on Friday night. It's almost like they're trying to hide something from the media because most presses go to bed at 5 o'clock on Friday. So a release on Friday doesn't go noticed. But if it's the Duggars and it's Josh Duggar particularly, or his wife, it's going to be noticed no matter when you put the news out. Anna Duggar is pregnant with her 7th child. She announced not only the pregnancy but also the gender reveal on Instagram, which included all of the kids running through a field and a umbrella dumping pink out of it as though they were having a pink rain shower. So they're gonna have a baby girl, which is a tiebreaker because they have 3 boys and 3 girls already. So immediately people were flooding the comments on hers, offering her congratulations, and other people were being a little bit more critical. Anna is definitely not someone to shy away from some critical comments, and over the years has used her platform to respond to negative comments, particularly about her husband Josh. And so it shouldn't surprise anyone that she clapped back at someone who said, how can you afford all of those kids? One thing that has been sort of all over the place the last year or so, almost a year and a half, maybe 2 years, is what the heck is Josh Duggar doing for work? So back in November of 2019, there was this huge raid that happened at Josh's car lot, and it was revealed by the Department of Homeland Security that the raid had been done as a part of an investigation, and they didn't detail like who was under the investigation or what was under investigation. But not long after this investigation happened and the raid happened, his car lot was closed. He had been running this car lot for several years, and up until that point had been renting a space. This had been a lot that was highly contested. He had some issues with the city in terms of permitting, making sure that he had the right address and placard information out, having the right equipment set up in the buildings. He had a lot of zoning problems on this specific property. Well, eventually it closes down and he sells his house, and then they move into this building that's on the Duggars property. So a lot of people just naturally assumed, well, Josh doesn't have the car lot anymore, so he must not be working, or if he isn't working, what is he doing, and why are they living at mom and dad's house? So when someone asked Anna, how do you afford all those kids? Does Josh even work? Anna responded, yes, my husband is a diligent worker and provides well for our family. So she said diligent worker, which people thought was like kind of funny, like that's an odd choice of words, but you know, this is the cult, so that's probably their language. So she says he is a diligent worker and he provides well for our family. So why are they living in a shack on their parents' property? Okay, it's not a shack, but it is a warehouse that's been converted into a home. So there's been a lot of discussion about why they're living in this building. And I've dug up some pictures of it so that you can take a look at it. But basically, this is a warehouse that has a sort of garage, or has like a carport on the side, and had primarily, I'm assuming, being used as storage by Jim Bob. Jim Bob is the kind of guy that likes to collect things. Like, he has had multiple warehouses that he's used to put in appliances or things that he has found out thrifting, or just different things that he uses for materials for his real estate and house flipping business. So at some point in time, they turned this warehouse into their guest home, and the guest home was actually featured in an episode on Counting On when Abby tried on her dress, or they did a dress show for Abby to find her dress in her wedding to John David. We know that the interior has been put together quite nicely, and it's unclear like how many rooms there are in this space, but overall it has minimal windows. From the outside, it just has a door and a patio door, and then I think there might be like a window on the side and maybe one or two in the back. So it doesn't have a lot of sunlight coming into this building. It's also not specifically a home that was built for a home. It's like a warehouse that was converted into a home, if that makes sense. So with that being said, if he has a job, what is it and why are you living in this warehouse? So they moved out of their house shortly after that raid happened back in 2019, and they sold their house, according to the person I talked to, because they were telling people that that house had mold, and so they were going to fix it, but then they ended up selling it. But interestingly, at the same time the raid happened, he was also involved and entangled in a lawsuit with this guy named Carl, who basically was suing him related to a piece of property that they say Josh purchased without, like, illegally, without checking titles. And Josh lost that lawsuit, but it was during the middle of that lawsuit, he sold his house and he seemingly moved into his parents' property. There could have been some wanting to get rid of assets so that if he lost, maybe they couldn't garner wages or they couldn't take property from him. I'm not sure, but that's sort of where people's minds went. And then obviously when they were doing the investigation with the Department of Homeland Security and he abruptly gets rid of all of his properties, that's when people were like, are you trying to like not have anything in your name in case something happens? So with that being said, he works diligently. What does he do? No clue. It looks like Anna Duggar has opened up a ton of LLCs in her name that seem to be connected to construction. This is not uncommon with the Duggar family. Most of the boys do work in construction or as a part of the Duggar family's home flipping or real estate empire. And I say that loosely because they build and they buy like rundown homes or homes that are in foreclosure. They rehab them, sell them. James Robert or Jim Bob is also known to be a landlord, not always having the nicest property that he rents out. Some people in the area call him a slumlord. That's just their words, not mine. Could he be joining ranks with Dad's construction business now that the car lot is closed? So Jim Bob has given him some properties, and earlier this year, Josh had tried to sell a home that he was given by his father, and it needed a ton of work. They actually pulled the property off the market. I don't know if they're still working to fix that house up and then resell it, but the house was a large home that had a lot of work that needed to be done. It had been completely gutted on the inside out. If he is a diligent worker, it's not clear if he is a diligent self-employed worker or if he's just basically working for Jim Bob Duggar. Now, he's not the only Duggar son that works for his dad, but it just makes me wonder, like, what is her classification as a diligent worker and what is her classification as provides well for our family if he's literally depending on his father for basically everything. And then there's the question is, why in all of this upheaval are you still having kids with this man? So a lot of you guys were really skeptical because you said, I think she keeps getting pregnant to tie him down, or I think he keeps getting her pregnant because he wants to control her. It's really not that complex. They don't believe in birth control. They are of this belief through their brainwashing that you have as many kids as possible, you do not interfere with God's plan for children, and that every child that is born is a blessing and is part of your small army that you are going to bring to the kingdom of God. She also believes in redemption. So there's this big thing in the Institute of Basic Life Principles that everyone that has confessed their sins come forth and done the work. They've confessed before their peers. They have acknowledged their errors. They can be redeemed. And so in redemption, it's the action of saving or being saved from sin, error, or evil. So he got caught up in the P word, and he also got caught up with other women. And so he went away for those years for treatment, or for those months for treatment, which wasn't really treatment. He basically went to a work camp. And she actually commented not long ago on her Instagram when someone asked, like, they were so glad to see Josh again in photos. And she said, like, thank you, redemption is a beautiful thing. She is not looking at Josh in the context of he cheated on me. She's looking at him in the context of he confessed his sin before his peers. He acknowledged what he did. He took the steps to repair himself and get in good graces with God. And now he is redeemed with a testimony to others of what can happen when you fall from God's graces or when you fall from God. And because he's coming back to the fold and he's being watched by Jem Bob, removed from social media and not able to really communicate with the outside world outside of his wife now and his family, he's redeemed but tightly controlled by the family. I do think that another part of him moving onto the property is so that Jem Bob can keep an eye on him. I think that that investigation might have been another eye-opener to Jem Bob that, hey, Josh might be sort of straying from the fold again and we need to bring him back in and rein him in so we can keep track and that he doesn't stray again. In the world of the IBLP, he is a hero because he has sinned greatly and redeemed himself through salvation and through confession to God. I don't even get it anyways, but this is how they think. So it's not like he's trying to control her or she's trying to control him. They, one, don't believe in birth control, and two, she believes he's redeemed. She believes it's her responsibility as his wife, that it's not her place to judge. He is the authority in the family. And so if he has confessed before God and his peers that he is sorry and he has confessed to her that he is sorry, she must be forgiving of him and move forward. It's really gross, but this is the cult. So clapping back and saying, my husband's a diligent worker, my husband is redeemed, and yes, we're going to keep having kids. Do you think they're going to have 20? Now, Anna is 32, I think. So it's not like they can have a ton more kids if she goes every 2 years. They could probably have like 5 more after this. So she might end up with 12. But this idea that she'll end up with 20, I don't think that's going to happen. She'd have to really pick up the pace. She couldn't go 2 years in between. Like Miss Duggar, she was like bam, 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 bam. She had less than sometimes a year and a half in between her kids. She had a lot of kids close in age. So I don't know that she's going to get to the 20 mark like Michelle. But what do you think about all of this? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.